Welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast with Bailey Palicki and Jacob Liberta. You can find all our videos here on our YouTube channel, so feel free to pound that subscribe button if you haven't already. And reach out to your sports-loving friends as well, especially Minnesota sports-loving friends. We've loved the community we've built so far with this channel and through our social media, so we'd absolutely love to keep that going. And yeah, feel free to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram as well if you haven't. Today we're going to get into the Minnesota Vikings. They're off to a slow start, 0-2. Very disappointing, obviously, not where people were expecting them to be. But we're not going to get into the negatives today. Today we're going to get into reasons for optimism. So, yeah, I mean, what is there to feel good about with this team, do you think, Liberta? I mean, the defense is struggling. There's kicker issues again. Zimmer's on the hot seat. What are some good things that are happening right now?
I think our superstars are still doing their thing. I think that goes from Dalvin on offense, just being a workhorse in the backfield, and then you got Justin Jefferson building off a incredible rookie year. Albeit, I think he still hasn't had a game where he's popped off yet, as fans have noticed. I think he's had solid performances, but I think we got to get him the ball more. Just plain and simple. I think Kirk's got to look his way more, and honestly, I think he's got to get a little bit better timing there with Jefferson. But don't need the negativity today, but yeah, our stars are still stars. And that includes defensively too with Danielle Hunter. I think that's huge because I think that was a big question mark all offseason was if he was going to be the same player he was before his neck injury, because I know that can always bring some uncertainty. And he's just been a beast. Obviously, 4 sacks through 2 games. I think this guy's definitely going to have a strong case for comeback player of the year, and potentially if he has a monster season, I mean, why not throw him around for the defensive player of the year? So I think that's what's really exciting about this team is the stars are still shining, and that goes beyond the 3 of them as well. But I think those 3 kind of take the cake for me. How about you, Bale? What's another reason for optimism?
Yeah, I would say another reason for optimism is that Kirk has actually played pretty well so far, save the first half against the Cincinnati Bengals where really the whole offense was a disaster.
Just out of sync.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually looked very good. He's still not the dynamic playmaking quarterback we'd all love to have, but we know what Kirk is at this point, and it's not fair to expect anything more of him. So I think he's played really well so far for what the circumstances have been. I think he's got 5 touchdowns, no picks. He's up there in terms of passing stats, passing yards, I should say, in the NFL. He's spread the ball well too. I mean, Thielen, Jefferson, and Osborne have all been involved. Conklin's been catching the ball. So I think Kirk has done a really good job. Another reason for optimism, I would say, like the offensive line looked horrible in game 1, but it's possible that they just needed some time to gel as well. And I think they looked a lot better in week 2, honestly. Rashad Hill is clearly not
liability.
Yeah, he's not starting caliber. No. He's just holding the spot until Darrisaw's ready to go. But I thought Cleveland and Bradbury looked a lot better, and that was after I was done with Bradbury. I had enough with Bradbury. I'd lost my patience. But yeah, I think Cleveland and Bradbury looked pretty good this last week. Udo has looked good in both games, I thought. He's proving to be a pretty dang good player, I think. He's just so strong and powerful. He's not going to get blown by too easily, I don't think. And then obviously Brian O'Neill's a stud. He got that big contract extension right before the regular season started. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm more optimistic with the offense right now just because we've been putting up points, putting up yards. The defense has been a little more concerning, but like you said, Danielle Hunter's a bright spot. I could also throw Michael Pierce into the mix as well.
Absolutely.
Stuff in the run. I saw there's more clips today of the all-22 film against Arizona, and he's taking 2 guys on at once. He's throwing them both aside.
I love
stuff in the run. Like it's insane how good this guy is. So
it's just like having Linval again.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good individual, pieces or groups of players even on this team. It's all about getting it to come together. I don't know, man. That's why it makes it so frustrating. It's not like this is a non-talented team that really is going nowhere. I mean, they have a lot of good players, and they can't seem to put it together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's been a lot of solid performances individually, but like you said, it's just got to come together as a team. But that just kind of comes with the NFL. That there's really a thin line between winning and losing games, and obviously the Vikings has been kind of painful because it's literally been the so to speak, fumble by Dalvin, even though upon
Yeah.
review it did not look like it, but they called it a fumble anyway. And then you get to week 2, and then obviously our kicking wolves showed their ugly head again, and
Yep.
Joseph just pushed it right, and we lost, and we could have just been realistically 2-0, but again, thin line between winning and losing this league, and it's just the reality of it. And
Hmm.
I'd also add on to your earlier point about the receivers. I really like that Kirk's incorporating all of them. I love a game when our top 3 receivers all get in the end zone. I think
Yes.
that's huge. I think that's always a lot of fun. And then kind of going on the offensive line too, especially Ezra Cleveland. If you follow PFF grades pretty closely, I don't know. Some people do, some people don't. Some people like
Yeah.
analytics, and some people don't. But I would say Ezra, he went north of 84, which is incredible for his second start ever at left guard.
That
If
is
he can
awesome.
if we could see more of that from him, that's a huge hole we haven't been able to fill probably since Hutch back like how many years ago now, nearly 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
So
at least.
if Ezra can be a mainstay there and should be a good solid left guard, oh my gosh, that could solve a huge problem for us. It's been nagging for a while. So I think
Yeah.
that's awesome to see, and kind of building off trench play like you've mentioned here. I'd also go on to I like speaking of analytics too. I like what I've seen from Pat P, although PFF doesn't like him at all through these first couple of games. But
Yeah, I don't understand that.
personally, he looks fine to me. I feel like he's not even getting targeted that much, and maybe that's just because our other corners that have been playing opposite of him, namely Bashad Breeland, have just been so bad. But
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's looked fine. Like I don't think he's allowed that many catches, hasn't seen that many targets. So I mean, I don't really see where they're grading him so harshly. But I think
Hmm.
he's been great for this team. Just reliable, and I really like
Yes.
having that because I know obviously this cornerback situation has certainly been something these last few years. So it's nice to have that stability in Pat P.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, I don't get where PFF's coming from. I mean, there was one play, Jamar Chase, like, completely juked him out of his socks, but he also didn't catch the ball on that play, so
No.
that was irrelevant.
Mhm.
DeAndre Hopkins caught a touchdown against him, but that was also after a Kyler Murray scramble.
That was a broken play.
Yeah, it was a broken play. It's impossible to expect a corner to cover for that long, especially
Yeah.
against one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Patrick Peterson's been great. Ezra Cleveland, like you said, has just been a monster. It's so great to see.
Mhm.
Bradbury might be a lost cause. It's so hard because he's so inconsistent, but I think it's promising to see. Like, we know O'Neal is good. Cleveland has looked mostly good in his time playing. Udo is just big and strong. He looks like he could play. And then, you have a first-round tackle in Darisaw. And then you got Wyatt Davis as well on the bench, who's a third-round pick. And, he plays guard, but maybe he could play center as well.
Mhm.
So the offensive line, I think, is going to keep getting better. They have solid pieces there, at least it seems for now. Another thing I'd say that is optimistic is, although the game against the Bengals shouldn't have been as close as it was and we shouldn't have been trailing, I think it's a good sign that we've stayed in games. I mean, it's been 2 games, but I think a lot of people were expecting us to go into Arizona and get crushed. And
Oh yeah, after the week 1 game against Cincy. Oh yeah.
and we kind of came out and punched him in the mouth. We scored right away on that bomb to KJ Osborne.
Mhm.
And we just stayed in it the whole way. We had the lead for most of the game, honestly.
Yeah.
And then of course, missed the field goal at the end. But I mean, I think it's encouraging that we're staying in games. We're not getting down and out. The offense is putting up points, like I said earlier, which is keeping us in games as well. This team usually isn't built to come from behind, and I still don't think they are. But if they can stay in games and stay competitive, I mean, I think they can truly beat anybody as long as they're in the game at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And kind of building off that and looking towards actually winning games rather than just these morale wins, or not morale wins, I should say, moral victories. Sorry.
Yeah.
Moral victories. But I would say we haven't even played a home game yet, so that's helpful. I know starting 0-2 is certainly not the start anybody wants, but at the same time, we haven't played a home game yet. We'll see what we look like in front of our crowd and see if that energy is back in the team to hopefully win a bunch of home games again like they've done basically every year except for last year, when obviously that was a little bit different because there's no fans. But hopefully we have that home field advantage again. I think that's going to be awesome, especially for the defense. And then also the football power index out there. I don't know. I saw this from Seth Walder today on Twitter that he said the Vikings, even though they started 0-2, they still have a 32% chance to make the playoffs. And I remember before the season even started, I'm pretty sure PFF had us set just under 40 or something. So the odds haven't really changed that much. So I don't think we need to jump off the ship yet. Obviously, if we start 0-3, 0-4, and start really stacking losses, then boy, those chances are going to drop pretty quickly. But I think, again, we just got to win the good majority of our home games. That starts this week against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about that. And I think another reason for optimism is probably why our percentage hasn't dropped as much. The division sucks. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Green Bay had a horrible first half against the Lions. The Lions were leading at halftime. Granted, Green Bay came out and trounced them in the second half, but the Bears are 1-1. Andy Dalton's hurt. Justin Fields, he looks like he's going to be a good quarterback, but he's probably not that great right now. He didn't play great this last week. The Lions are a complete disaster. Jared Goff looks horrible. That defense looks absolutely atrocious.
Honestly, I expected Jared Goff to look a little bit worse last night. Like, I thought he played pretty well, but then once the conditions got sloppy, he's kind of like Kirk in that way, where if everything's not perfect, he might start to fall apart, and that's what he did. He ended up dropping the ball because he keeps patting it, and then, it was just one thing after another. Literally last night when it rains, it pours. But I think, I was kind of surprised Goff didn't looking worse right from the onset. But
yeah, you can see Goff's got the natural talent. It's just when adversity hits and he's got nobody around him to really help him out.
True. So, I mean, who's his receiving core right now?
Yeah, I honestly feel kind of bad for him. He's stuck in a rebuild. He probably won't be there in a couple of years. So, but yeah, I think there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic here. They're 0-2. It sucks. It's also a 17-game season. And the fact of the matter is they're going to have to steal a game or two here that they weren't expected to win before. Maybe a game, like against like the Baltimore Ravens where we thought, well, we might get smoked against those guys. Well, now they have a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball. And I mean, who knows if you get Lamar on a bad day, you could go in there and beat those guys. So that's a game that could potentially flip. Seahawks, we all kind of expected them to lose, I think, but you go into it this week and it's like, well, we're 0-2, backs against the wall. I think we can beat them. It's a home game. So
totally agree. I mean, we had them last year. We literally had them in our hands, but just blew it for a couple different things that hopefully wouldn't happen again. But
yeah, exactly. So we'll try to stay optimistic for now. We'll have to see how things go in week 3 against the Seahawks, but that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give us a like as well, and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram, and leave your comments below. If you're optimistic about the Vikings, if you're not so optimistic, and give reasons why. We'd love to hear more reasons. If we didn't even get into the coaching tonight, so that'll be an interesting one to talk about as well. But until next time, thanks for watching.